Okay, what's up guys, and welcome back to our remote writing workshop. Have you guys ever wondered about the publishing process? What's really involved from when a writer delivers a manuscript to when the finished book actually lands on the shelves? Let's dig into what happens behind the scenes of the publishing process today. Erin, you touched on this a little bit last week, but can you tell us how the publishing process begins?
I can, Leslie. It always begins with your help and hard work with acquisitions. And at Greenleaf, we review tons of submissions from talented authors. And there's so many factors that go into choosing what we publish. There's market potential, of course, the quality of writing, the author expertise platform. And we actually have acquisition roundtables meetings with department members, and they weigh in from marketing, distribution, publicity, editorial, branding. Even our legal department is in there telling us if there might be any potential issues. So we really have a perspective from so many different members of our team in this decision process. And when we decide to accept something for publication, we first share the good news with the author, which is always fun. And then there's a contract signing. And we bring the author on board. We have the wonderful welcome phone calls. We introduce them to their team. And then the real magic begins.
Awesome. Yes, I love this part. So when someone delivers a manuscript, it actually, it goes to me first. So my team and I are the first ones reviewing it. And we do so in that way, and we have everybody from each department sit in at the review process because we want to give the author the best possible shot at success. So we review on all the things that Erin mentioned to make sure the author has the best strategy for success of their book. So
because it's not just about the writing, so many components go into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a very, very complicated puzzle, but each piece really matters. And when it comes together, it's exquisitely beautiful, but so many different pieces matter to make that final masterpiece. Okay, question 2. What's the first step once the ink is dry on the contract?
Well, this is where editorial comes into play. This is where we shine. Authors begin in our world. So we give the authors an overview of how everything will work throughout the process. We're going to be the ones who kind of shepherd their books through the whole publication. And then we get down to the nitty-gritty of editing. So as I talked about last week, we start with content editing, and then we go back and forth with revisions with the author. This could last a few weeks. It could last a few months. And then it's really interesting because authors don't realize how many sets of eyes go into then proofing this. So once you have the content edit finished, there's a copy edit. And then there's a pre-composition proofread. And then once design lays out the pages, there's another proofread. So even with all that, there might be a typo that gets through, but we really try not to let that happen. But there's so many sets of eyes that then see this manuscript. So while all this editorial work is happening, the team is also brainstorming titles. We're launching the book, which means we're getting everyone in the company familiar with all aspects of the author and the book. And we're creating a master publishing plan behind the scenes.
Yes, love it. And that's especially where editorial comes in. It's so important to have a professional editing team because, you know, we have so many different levels of editing that it goes through because there's an old saying that, you know, if you publish a book and you read the first page for the first time once it's printed, you're always going to find a typo in the first page. We try so hard to make sure that doesn't happen and for the rest of the book. And so that's why it's so important to have that professional editing team with a bunch of different eyes looking over it to catch anything that falls through the cracks.
I know it's key to have different people reading it because it's so interesting because when you've read something again and again and again, your brain starts to actually see things not the way they are, but how you expect them to be. So that's how you really miss typos and little things like that. You almost have to read, this is what I like to do, is read sentences backwards. And that's the only way you can catch things. But really just having different people come into it is the only way to do it.
It's like when they display those brain exercises on Facebook or when you're scrolling, it's like you read it as these 3 sentences, but when you actually read the caption and it says these words are messed up, but you write it as this sentence and it's
Right.
completely jumbled up words. That's what happens when you read something over and over again, because your brain is, how you read it in your head is different than how someone else is going to read it and how they're going to perceive it as well.
Exactly. And, we're all humans, so it happens. So.
Exactly. All right. So now once you and the author have finessed and finalized the content, what can a writer expect next?
Well, this is usually when design gets involved. And that's always really exciting and fun because it's going to start to look like a real book. So the art department begins and they design and present various covers to the rest of the publishing house and to the author. And they also create a unique page design for the book and they lay everything out. So that's always fun for us and for the author because, like I said, it starts becoming real at that point. And then sales, publicity, branding, marketing, everyone gets on board and they begin planning, implementing strategies. And then at that point, once the pages are laid out, marketing and publicity will work with editorial, production to create and send out ARCs, which are advanced reader's copies. And these are uncorrected bound books that include the cover and design pages, but they're not final yet. So there'll be changes that still need to be made. There's going to be a few typos, but these are sent out early to major publications for reviews, or the author or publisher will send these out to other writers, experts, and various luminaries who might be willing to read the book and give endorsements, glowing words of praise, which are going to be featured prominently on either the front or back cover of the book. We also have an interior praise page as well. I say words of praise because usually we don't choose the ones that would say this sucks. It's just a good business practice. So while all this is happening, our sales team is busy pitching the book to all of our outlets, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. So your publisher is selling before the selling even begins. And so that's what's going on once everything gets designed and at that point in the process.
Awesome. Okay, so clarify for everyone, can authors participate in the publicity and marketing too?
Not only can they, it's essential that authors participate in their own marketing and publicity. We rely on your established platform or audience to reach your readers. So you've got to work it. You, as an author, are the strongest salesman or saleswoman for your book. So you have to get out there and make it happen. You can't just sit back and expect others to do all your work. And of course, you're going to have marketing, publicity teams who are there to do things like buy ads, figure out appearances, send out the book for reviews. But you really hold the key to your fate. If you're out there hustling, you are going to have so much more success than if you kind of go into this process thinking that everything's going to be handled. I'll just give them a few things. I mean, if you're in there fighting for your book, it's going to make such a difference in the end. It really is if you're completely involved in that process.
Absolutely. And something I love to say when I'm talking to potential authors about, the whole process and their involvement. So you should be starting the marketing and branding and getting the word out there before the manuscript is even written. So while it's being written and even when it's finished, you got to be hustling, because we can give you, and your publisher can give you, the fundamental tools to make sure the book is successful in the retail market. But at the end of the day, we're going to open the door. You've got to walk through it. So have to put in a little bit of elbow grease. That's where we see, the authors with the most success. They're out there, they're hustling, and they're really, really, promoting themselves, promoting their book. And they're doing so in such a great way that it's attracting people. They're creating not only a community of people, but a loyal audience, because like I say in social media all the time, it's not about the likes or, any of the vanity metrics. Of course they matter. It's about creating that loyal community and that loyal audience, because those are the people who are going to read the book. Those are the people who are going to recommend the book to other people, and so on and so forth. It creates a chain reaction. So
Exactly. And you are your book. I mean, you're there to get people excited. You're going to be the biggest salesperson, as I said. I mean, you're going to be the one that's going to get people the most excited. No matter how on board your whole team is, you're going to be the one that's going to bring the most passion to this project. So
absolutely. Okay, how long does the entire process take anyway, from manuscript to actual book?
It's a while. It's funny because a lot of authors who we work with kind of hand their manuscript in, they're like, okay, a couple months, right? Here we go. But it's usually a minimum of a year. Sometimes if a topic is incredibly timely, or if it's a really big name, a book can get fast-tracked. But again, that's usually reserved for huge titles. It's rare. It costs a lot more money, a lot more effort. So it doesn't happen a lot. Even the printing process takes months, design, specs, approvals, making the books themselves, warehousing them, shipping them. So there's a lot involved behind the scenes. So yeah, just buckle up, get ready to wait. And before you know it, that magical pub date will arrive. And that is just a super exciting moment for everyone involved. And after such a long process, it really is so momentous, not only for the author, but all of us, because we put our heart and soul into this. And it's really a true celebration of so much hard work and so much cooperation, which is key.
Absolutely. Something I do want to note as well is when people ask about the timeline, what they kind of don't consider is we are pitching to bookstores and to retail markets before the book is even done.
Oh, yeah.
So we're pitching 8 months in advance. Why? Because that is when Barnes & Noble, airports, whatever have you, that's when they have their full budgets to buy, and that's when they have all their open shelves. So we are pitching when they are taking in new titles. So we do this very strategically. So again, we give the book the best possible avenue for success. And so that is why, the publication process isn't just a few months. It's a long process, but trust us, when it is the right way to go.
There's a reason.
Yes. Instead of it publishing in a month, there's just always a lot of things that go into a very well made and a well crafted book, and just gotta trust the experts on this. We know what we're doing.
I know, we're not just biding our time, just deciding to make it take a little longer. We don't want to work hard,
Exactly. Okay, Erin, what is our assignment for this week?
Well, this week I want everybody to research all of the different publishing options available for writers nowadays. Times have changed, especially in the past decade. And traditional publishing is not nearly as appealing as it used to be. Self-publishing and hybrid publishing, like we do here at Greenleaf, are becoming incredibly popular for so many reasons as they gain traction, and they just become really appealing over the traditional big houses. So do some research as to why, what might be a good fit for you, and just really gain some knowledge about those publishing options, because there are a lot of viable options out there now that really, it wasn't that way a few years ago. So that's great for authors.
Absolutely. And something I would love to mention, because this is a really great resource we have on the site, we have a publishing options quiz. So I will include this at the end of this post. So this quiz is super short, and in about 5 minutes, it will ask you, a series of questions, and based on your goals and based on your answers, it will tell you what publishing option out of hybrid, traditional or self-publishing may be the best fit for you. And if you land on, let's say, traditional or self-publishing, we'll actually give you some resources to go and get started. If you land on hybrid publishing, such as Greenleaf, we will ask you if you want to set up a call to talk to us. But definitely talk to a bunch of different people, see kind of what the vibe is everywhere, see what aligns best with your core values and your goals for the book, and make sure to work with a publisher who is going to, not only work with you, but, work best to produce those goals that you want. And so we also have a really great podcast on our Learning Center that actually goes over all of the publishing options available as well, so you'll have a better understanding. So I will link a few of those resources onto this page, and you guys can check those out. And as always, make sure you guys are letting us know how you like these videos. Erin and I love doing them, so let us know how you're liking them. Let us know how you're liking these assignments. And of course, we will see you guys next week.
Yes, bye-bye.
Bye.